Welcome to today class of nonlinear vibration. So, in this module we are discussing about the nonlinear techniques used for studying these nonlinear vibration systems. So, last class we have studied how to find the roots of the characteristic equation and also how to use this Runge-Kutta method to find the solution of a differential equation. So, we will continue in that example. Let us take this example. Last class we have studied. So, in this example this is a base excited beam. So, where this base is excited by a force P and it is moving from its non-trivial state. So, this is the non-trivial state, the displacement can be written as W, and we know that the equation motion can be written in its temporal form by this equation, and our objective was to find the roots of this characteristic equation. So, this is the characteristic equation. So, in this characteristic equation our objective is to find beta L. So, last class we have studied different methods to find this beta L. So, these methods are method of bisection. So, we have studied the method of bisection and method of false position, and also we studied this Newton's method. Then we studied the second method, and also we studied this Muller method for finding the roots of the characteristic equation. So, when we have a single root to find, so we can use these methods, and also when we have multiple roots we may modify this Newton's method. So, for multiple roots one can modify this Newton's method to find the roots of the algebraic or transcendental equation. So, after finding the roots, so one can find the shape functions of the system. So, using this beta value from this characteristic equation one can find the shape functions of the system, and then using the shape function in the approximate function where r is the scaling factor, psi y is the shape function and g t is the time modulation, then one can apply this Galerkin method to reduce this spatio-temporal equation to its temporal form. So, this is the temporal equation motion for a continuous system, but in case of discrete system or lumped parameter systems already we get or we can get the equation in this form. So, in case of continuous systems we have to reduce this system equation to that of its temporal form, which is similar to the equations we are using for the discrete system. So, now our objective is to find these coefficients. So, one can find these coefficients by using these integrals, and already we know there are several numerical techniques available to find this integral of the system. So, one can use this Gauss quadrature method, Simpson rule, trapezoidal rule and similar methods to find the integration of these functions. In MATLAB one can simply use this function int to integrate and find the coefficient of the equation. So, after finding the coefficient of the equation, the next step is to find the solution of the system. Already we have studied the solution of the systems can be obtained by using this perturbation method or by directly solving this equation. Now, we are studying the numerical method to solve this equation to find the response. So, last class we have studied about this Runge-Kutta method, and today class let us see what are the other methods available to study this type of ordinary differential equations. So, we can see that there are Runge-Kutta method already we have studied. So, one can take this difference method, finite difference method. So, in finite difference method, or one can take this forward, backward or central difference method. Then one can use this Houbolt method, Wilson method or numeric method. So, these three methods we will study now, and we will see how these methods can be used for find the response of the system. So, in case of the finite difference method, already we know there are three different type of methods. One is the forward difference method or backward difference method, and third one is the central difference method. The central difference method is most accurate and most commonly used method. So, in case of the central difference method, so we can replace the solution domain with finite number of points or mesh or grid points, and using Taylor series expansion we can write this x I plus 1, that is the solution in I plus 1th iteration. So, if we are starting at ith iteration, then this I plus 1th iteration can be written in terms of ith iteration by using this formula. So, x I plus 1 will be equal to x I plus h is the increment. So, h is the time. So, we can divide the time interval into several increments and h. So, let we divide the whole time domain into n discrete points, then h will be equal to. So, if we are taking the time to be t, so h will be equal to, and we have n number of points, then this h will be equal to t by n. So, here x I plus 1 will be equal to x I plus h x I dot. So, this is the velocity term in ith iteration, then h square by 2 x I double dot, this is the acceleration term, plus h cube by 6 x I triple dot and the higher order terms. So, one can take up to the second order term or one can keep up to the third order terms to define this or to find this x I plus 1. Similarly, x I minus 1 can be found from this equation, x I minus h x I dot plus h square by 2 x I double dot minus h cube by 6 x I triple dot. So, by knowing the initial conditions and using these expressions, one can use the central difference method to find the solution of the system. So, one can iterate these equations till one obtain a converged solution. So, in finite difference and Runge-Kutta method, the current displacement solution is expressed in terms of the previously determined values of displacement, velocity and acceleration, and the resulting equations are solved to find the current displacement. They falls under the category of explicit integration methods. So, we will now see this Houbolt, Wilson and numeric method. So, in this method the temporal difference equations are combined with the current equation of motion and the resulting equations are solved to find the current displacement. They belong to the category of implicit integration method. So, in case of finite difference method, the main idea of finite difference method is to use approximation to the derivatives. So, already we know, so we have this forward, backward and central difference method. So, last class we have studied about this Runge-Kutta method. So, in case of Runge-Kutta method, so this next iteration. So, let us take this example. So, for example, let us take the viscously damped single degree of freedom equation. So, we have taken this nonlinear equation here. So, this x double dot expression can be written, our original equation is in this form m x double dot plus k x plus c x dot plus alpha x q equal to f t. So, now this acceleration term x double dot can be written in this form. So, 1 by m f t minus c x dot minus k x minus alpha x q. So, from this we can write or we can find this x double dot and we can write a set of first order equation. So, these are the set of first order equation. Now, using the set of first order equation, so we can use this formula. So, where we require these 4 constants, that is k 1, k 2, k 3 and k 4. So, where k 1 expression for k 1, k 2, k 3 and k 4 are given here to find this x I plus 1. So, here we have to take one initial condition. So, initial condition in terms of the velocity, initial velocity and displacement. By taking this initial velocity and displacement of the system, so we can use this formula to find the response of the system. So, for example, so this is a MATLAB code written to find the solution of a single degree of freedom systems without this nonlinear term. So, this is the function file. So, in this function file one has to write this function. So, function f equal to, so this is the file name one can put s func. So, here the input is t and x. So, x will give the initial input. So, let us take m equal to 1, k equal to 1, c equal to 0.2, t 0 equal to pi and f 0 equal to 1. So, here the equation, so the first, that is, so we have taken this x dot equal to x 2, and or let us have a equation in this form, that is y double dot plus k y plus c y dot equal to f. So, here it is taken f into, let us take the function f into 1 minus sin pi t by 2 t 0, here taken pi by 2 t 0 is omega. So, it is taken omega 1 minus sin omega t in this form. So, first one can write this y dot equal to x 1, y dot equal to x 2, and or we have taken this y equal to x 1. So, y dot equal to x 1 dot equal to our x 2 or okay. So, x 2, or here it is written in terms of f. So, here it is written y dot y equal to f 1. So, this is f 1 and this term is f 2. So, then f 2. So, this way one can reduce this equation to a set of first order equation. So, after reducing to a set of first order equation, so one can find the solution. So, this is the main file. So, in this main file, so this is the function file in which we have written this is the first function, and this represent this y double dot, this is y dot. So, y dot equal to x 2 and y double dot equal to this function. So, after getting that functional value, so one can use this syntax, that is T x equal to, so here ODE 2 3 is used, one can use ODE 4 5 also. So, ODE 2 3. So, this is the function file. So, function file, and this is the T span. So, span is, so one can take the time. So, here the time is taken from 0 to 5 pi, and this x 0 is the initial condition. So, this is the time span. So, one can take this time span. So, this is the initial condition. So, initial condition will give in terms of displacement and velocity. Then one can obtain this x and t, or t and x, and one can plot this expression. So, here one can plot the time response, or one can plot the phase portrait. So, to plot the time response, so this is the time response and this one is the phase portrait. So, this curve shows for two different values of this equation. So, it has been, or two. So, this is x t and x dot t has been plotted here. Similarly, so this is plotted for the, so if one take the van der Pol equation. So, this time response is for the van der Pol equation, where the equation is written in this form. So, the van der Pol equation is written in this form, that is x double dot plus x square minus 1 into x dot plus x equal to 0. So, one can observe that this term which is coefficient of x dot, that is damping, similar to damping. So, this will be negative if this mod x dot is less than 1 and it is positive if mod x dot is greater than 1. So, when it is negative, so the system will have a tendency to become unstable or the response will grow, and when it is positive the system will have a tendency to the response to decay. That is why one can have the swelling and swelling in case of or increase in response in case when it is negative, this term whole term is negative and it will at that time it will expand. So, one has this expansion and contraction of this curve. So, one can observe this thing from this phase portrait. So, the phase portrait y versus x is plotted here. So, this is the time response for this curve. So, by using this Runge-Kutta method, so one can find this response in this way. So, let us see the other method, that is the Hubert method. So, in this method it is a non self static method as to find the subsequent solution x 0. So, x 0 to be the known solution. So, let us take this initial condition x 0 and x 1. So, we can find one can find this expression for this acceleration at t 0. So, from a known value of displacement and velocity. So, we can first find this acceleration. So, by using, so let us take for a multi-degree of freedom system, the equation can be written in this form m x double dot plus k x plus c x dot equal to f. So, in this case this x 0 double dot at time t equal to 0 can be obtained from this equation by substituting t equal to 0 from the known initial condition of x 0 and x 0 dot. So, one by taking these two terms to right hand side and putting this m inverse. So, one can, so here we can put this small m as it is written here. So, by putting this, so one can get the initial condition and one can obtain this x minus 1 from this equation. So, by using this equation one can get this x minus 1, which we have already seen from the central difference method. So, x I minus, by using this expression for x I minus 1, as you are taking I equal to 0. So, one can obtain this x minus 1 from this equation. So, by taking these two, so now one can compute this x I plus 1 by using this expression. So, x I plus 1 will be equal to 1 by delta t square m plus 1 by 2 delta t c minus, so this is the inverse into, so using this expression for this and this. So, from a by taking a known value of delta t, so one and taking this known displacement and velocity. So, by using this expression, so one can find the x I plus 1. So, one can compute this x I plus 1 starting from I equal to 2. So, if one start from I equal to 2, then one can use this expression. So, this will be equal to x I plus 1 will be equal to 2 by delta t square into m plus 11 by 6 delta t c plus k into k to the power minus this minus 1 whole to the power minus 1, then into f I plus 1. So, one has to compute this I plus 1. So, what is the force vector at I plus 1? So, into f I plus 1 plus 5 by delta t square into m plus 3 by delta t c into x I. So, from known value of x I and system parameter by using this expression. So, one can find compute this x I plus 1. So, in this way one can obtain this expression for displacement at x I plus 1. So, here if required, evaluate the velocity and acceleration vector at t I plus 1 and x I plus. So, this is the velocity, this is the. So, one can use these expressions to find the velocity at I plus 1 and I acceleration at I plus 1. So, after finding this displacement at I plus 1, one can find the velocity using this expression and the acceleration using this expression. So, one can obtain this expression by numerically differentiating this term x I plus 1. So, let us see the another method, that is Wilson method. So, in case of Wilson method, so in previous method we have taken one initial condition. So, here in Wilson method we are assuming a linear acceleration scheme. So, we are assuming that the acceleration to be linear between two different points. So, in this case, so as we are assuming the acceleration to be linear within 2 points. So, we can use this equation directly, that is the equation of the acceleration. So, acceleration equation is x 0 double dot equal to m inverse f 0 minus c into x dot minus k minus x 0. So, for a multi degree of freedom systems we can write this. So, we have to select a time step delta t and suitable value of theta. Generally this value of theta is taken to be 1.4, and we can, here we are assuming linear acceleration, that is the acceleration of the system varies linearly between 2 instant of time, and we are finding this thing. So, f I plus theta can be obtained using this expression. Then as we are assuming acceleration to be linear between 2 points, then we can find this x I plus theta instead of finding x I plus 1 as in case of this Runge-Kutta method. Here we are finding after theta. So, x I plus theta can be obtained using this expression, and where x I plus theta equal to, one can obtain this 6 by theta square delta t square into m plus 3 by theta delta t c plus k to the power minus 1 into f I plus theta. So, one can obtain this value of this next iteration after theta interval. So, x I plus theta. So, after getting, so this is the expression for x I plus theta, which can be obtained from these expressions. Similarly, in case of the numeric method, so in case of numeric method also we are assuming the acceleration to vary linearly between two instant of time. The resulting expression for velocities and displacement respectively can be written for a multi degree of freedom system using these expressions. So, here we are assuming the acceleration to vary linearly between 2 instant of time. So, here x I plus 1 can be written using this expression, this is the velocity. So, x I plus 1 dot equal to x I dot plus 1 minus beta into x I double dot plus beta into x I plus 1 double dot into delta t, and x I plus 1 can be written as x I plus delta t x I dot plus half minus alpha into x I double dot plus alpha into x I double dot delta t square. So, using these expression here, alpha and beta indicate how much the acceleration at the end of the interval enters into the velocity and displacement equation at the end of interval delta t. So, by using this expression, so we can find the response of the system. For example, in this case, so the equilibrium equation of motion of the, let us take this equation. So, in this case m x double dot this x I plus 1. So, this is x velocity at I plus 1, this is the displacement at x I plus 1. So, if x I plus 1 is the equilibrium position, so it will satisfy this equation. So, one can obtain this x I plus 1 from this expression using this expression. So, x I plus 1 can be written by 1 by alpha delta t square into m plus beta alpha delta t into c plus k to the power minus 1 into f I plus 1 plus m into 1 by alpha delta t square x I plus 1 by alpha delta t x I dot plus 1 by 2 alpha minus 1 x I double dot plus c into beta by alpha delta t x I plus beta by alpha minus 1 x I dot plus beta by alpha minus 2 into delta t by 2 into x I double dot. So, in this way one can use these different types of methods. For example, one can use this Runge-Kutta method, Hubble method, Wilson method and or this numeric method to find the solution of this ordinary differential equation, particularly when we are using this finite element method. So, we have a large number of equation motion, and this numeric beta method is most suitable for solving the response of the system in that case. So, after obtaining the response of the system, now our objective is to analyze the response of the system. So, how to analyze this response? So, one can analyze the system response from the, so after getting the time response. So, after getting the time response of the system, so one can analyze this time response either by using this Poincare section. One can also use this Fourier spectra. Also one can use the Lyapunov exponent method to characterize the response of the system. Also, after getting the time response, one can plot the phase portrait to observe the response type. Already we know that we have, for deterministic system, we have 4 different type of response. So, these are fixed point response. Also, we have this periodic response. Also, we have quasi periodic response, and we have this chaotic response. So, for deterministic system, we have these 4 different type of response of the system. So, fixed point response, in case of fixed point response, the response becomes either a trivial fixed point or non-trivial fixed point. In case of periodic response, the response x t equal to x t plus t. So, we can find a minimum time period after which we can observe that the system response repeats. In case of quasi periodic response also, we can find, or one can observe this response of the system. So, but one can note that this quasi periodic and chaotic response, as they are not periodic. So, it is difficult to distinguish these responses from the time response and the phase portrait. So, if one plot the phase portrait of the system, so let us plot the phase portrait of the system in case of a fixed point response. Phase portrait, for example, this is x versus x dot if one plot. So, in case of a fixed point, the response will either come. So, if it is system is stable, so it will come, and this is the final fixed point response of the system. But if the system is unstable, so one can have, so the resulting phase portrait will look like this. In case of time response, so in this case the time response will be, so starting from a point. So, this is the time response. So, this is x t. One can plot this x t and x dot t. So, this is the time response of the system. So, initially one will have, or one can plot more times also, and then finally it will come to the steady state system. So, this is particularly similar to the response of an underdamped system, and in this case the response of the system will grow, and one can plot the response of the time response of the system like this. So, this is for the fixed point response. But in case of the periodic response, so in case of periodic response, one can observe that the response will be periodic. The resulting response is periodic, and if one plot the phase portrait, so this is x versus t. Similarly, one can plot this x dot versus t and one can obtain the phase portrait like this. So in case of the periodic response, so one can obtain the phase portrait as a closed loop. So one can obtain a closed loop in this case. So this is x dot versus x. So one can obtain a closed loop in this case. So for n dimensional system, so one can, so it is difficult to plot the phase portrait as we will have n state vectors, and in that case one can plot. So for example, if we have 4 state vector, let we have 4 state vector x 1, x 2, x 1 dot, x 2 dot. So in this case one can plot the phase portrait with x 1 dot x 1 and x 2 dot x 2 dot, or one can plot also this x 1 and x 2. So this way there will be different representations of the state space, and by using different state space, so one can find or one can analyze the different type of response, and it is very difficult. So for n dimensional system, so it is difficult to represent the phase portrait of the system. So in case of the quasi periodic response, so already we know in case of the periodic response, so this is one period. So if one find, so this is one period, and so after each period one can observe that this to this also one period. So one can observe that the system response repeats in this case. So in this case one has distinct frequency. So one can write this frequency of the system, or one can find the frequency of the system. So the system may be a single periodic or it may be k periodic. K periodic means it may have k number of frequencies. So in that case the response can be written x t equal to a 1 cos omega 1 t plus a 2 cos omega 2 t plus a 3 cos omega 3 t. So in this way one can have a number of frequencies also present in the system. So if these frequencies, this omega 1, omega 2 and omega 3 be your integer relationship, then one can find this periodic response. But if these ratios are not rational number, for example, this omega 2 by omega 1, so let it is root 2 by 1. So this is not rational number. So if they are irrational number, then instead of getting periodic response, one can obtain quasi periodic response. And already we have seen, so in case of the quasi periodic response, the phase portrait may look like this. So it may look like, so it is known as a torus. So the phase portrait will look like this. So this is x dot versus x, and the time response, corresponding time response is aperiodic, and one can observe the response may be like this, and it may repeat. So one can get aperiodic response, and by plotting this aperiodic response one can tell whether the response is periodic, quasi periodic or fixed point. Similarly, in case of chaotic response, the response, so this will be, so this phase portrait will, so if one plot this phase portrait, so one can see that it can fill up this phase portrait, and now to distinguish this from the time response, so one can either plot this phase portrait or one can go for this Poincare section. So in case of Poincare section, we have to sample the time response at regular interval of time. So in case of the periodic response, as we know the period of the system, so we can sample the time response with minimum period. So for example, in in this case let us take a sine curve. So this is x versus t. So, the velocity will be a cosine curve. So, let us take, so if we are taking this point at the starting point, then after time t, so this is the same point one can observe, and similarly after one more time, so this is the time. So, if one plot this Poincare section of this, so one has to sample this. So, this is x versus x dot. Similarly, in our x dot curve, so x dot curve we can have a cosine curve. So, in this case we can observe that, so as we are taking this point here, so this is the point at 90 degree. So, this is the point. Similarly, we can have after one period this is the point. So, we have this, let this value is a. So, in Poincare section we will have a point which will have a value a and 0. So, this is the point. So, that means, in case of the periodic response, the Poincare section is a point. Similarly, in case of quasi periodic section, quasi periodic response, one can find the Poincare section, and this Poincare section will be in the form of a closed loop. So, one can observe a closed loop in case of the, so this is Poincare section for Poincare section for quasi periodic response. Similarly, one can plot the Poincare section for a chaotic system. So, in case of the chaotic system, so one can observe that this Poincare section will fill up this whole space. So, one can get a series of points which fill this state space in Poincare section. So, if one plot, let us take one example, that is period doubling root to chaos. So, in that case, if one plot the Poincare section, so as initially the response, so this is x dot versus x, initially the response is single periodic. So, one can get these points. So, by varying this control parameter, so one can plot this curve. So, this is the control parameter mu, and so by varying this control parameter, so one can find the points. So, then 2 period, now this 2 period becomes 4 period. So, one can get 4 period, and then this 4 period again they will becomes 8 period, and one can obtain a series of points. So, here, so one can see from this period doubling root to chaos. So, one can have many different points in this Poincare section. So, by changing this control parameter, initially one has a single period. So, it is represented by a single point, then it becomes 2 period, then this 2 period becomes 4 period and 8 period, 16, 32, and in that way. So, one can obtain, so one can find a window. So, in this window one may have these 3 windows or 5 window, and after that again one can have this chaotic response. So, this way one can, or by using Poincare section, one can distinguish this periodic, quasi periodic and chaotic response. So, while taking this Poincare section, it is important to know how to sample this time response. So, to sample this time response, for example, in case of periodic response, one should know the minimum time period of the system. So, one can find the minimum time period of the system by studying the resulting time response of the system. Similarly, in case of quasi periodic, so in case of torus, one will have 2 frequencies. So, these 2 frequencies will be commensurate. So, by taking these frequencies, the minimum frequency, one can sample the space. and or sample the time data and then plot the Poincare section of the system. So, this way one can characterize the system by using time response, phase portrait and Poincare section. So, let us see what are the other way one can represent. Also one can use this Fourier spectra to represent the response of the system. So, in case of the Fourier spectra one can use this Fourier transform. So, this equation can be used to find the transform of the time response. Let x t is the response of the system. So, the Fourier transform can be represented by using this equation. So, x f equal to minus infinity. So, this is the two sided Fourier transform. So, that is x f equal to minus infinity to plus infinity x t into e to the power minus 2 I pi f t dt. So, as the negative frequency has no meaning. So, one can take this thing only by taking the positive also positive side of this thing, and here we are assuming that this function, that is the function should be integrable. So, if it is not integrable then one cannot use this Fourier transform to find the spectra of the system. So, in case of the Fourier spectra either one can use this amplitude spectra, either one can use this amplitude spectra or one can use this power spectra, either amplitude spectra or power spectra to represent the motion of the system in frequency domain. So, here as it is difficult to obtain this function to be integrable in the whole range of minus infinity to plus infinity. So, one can take this finite Fourier transform in between which the system is integrable. So, one can write this finite Fourier transform using this expression, that is x f t c. So, let it is integrable up to time t c, then this expression can be used. So, x f t c, f is the frequency, t c is the time up to which the function is integrable by using this expression integral 0 to t c x t into e to the power minus 2 I pi f t dt. So, in this way one can find this amplitude spectra of the system. So, this using this one can, so for discrete points one can use this DFT, discrete Fourier transform, or a powerful method is FFT also, fast Fourier transform, which is a special form of this DFT, because in case of the experiment and in case of also this numerical response of the system. So, one can get this response at discrete times. So, instead of getting the response in a continuous form, we can get the response in discrete time. So, we can use this DFT or FFT, fast Fourier transform. So, this method was proposed by Cooley and Tukey in 1965 in this paper, an algorithm for the machine calculation of complex Fourier series, published in Mathematical Computation in volume 19, 270, page number 297 to 301. And so, this way one can obtain the power amplitude spectra of the system. Similarly, one can obtain the power spectra. So, to find the power spectra, so which are otherwise also known as auto spectrum or auto spectral density function or power spectral density function. So, one can use this equation, that is x x f equal to minus infinity to plus infinity or x x tau e to the power minus 2 I f t tau d tau, where this r x x is known as the autocorrelation function, which can be given by this expression. So, r x x tau equal to limit t tends to infinity 1 by t. So, t the time up to which we are finding the spectra. So, limit t tends to infinity 1 by t 0 to t x t plus tau d tau, where tau is the delay of the system. And one can find also, or one can write the power spectrum also by using this expression, that is x x f equal to limit t tends to infinity 1 by t integration 0 to t x t e to the power minus 2 I pi f t dt whole square. So, one can note that the power is the square of the amplitude, and so one can either obtain these Fourier spectra in terms of amplitude or power to represent the motion of the system. So, here in case of the in this case we have already shown. So, this is the power spectra shown for this system. So, in this case, in case of the van der Pol equation, this shows the power spectra of the system. In case of the limit cycle, as we have a limit cycle, one can observe that we have a distinct peak here. So, this peak represent the frequency of this limit cycle. Similarly, in case of the quasi periodic response, one can plot this spectra. So, in case of the quasi periodic response, the spectra will look like this. So, we will have a loose so we can have two frequencies, but these frequencies one can find these frequencies and one can find from this frequency that they are not commensurable. One can find different frequencies. This is here P versus F, this is the frequency. In case of chaotic response, so this is for the quasi periodic response. In quasi periodic response, one can find the frequency and find whether they are commensurable or not. And but in case of this chaotic response, so one can observe a continuous band. In power spectra, one can observe a continuous band. So, a continuous band represent a chaotic response. Also, one can find similar type of response in case of noisy response. So, to distinguish whether the response to be chaotic or noisy, one can use different other tools. For example, one can go for this Lyapunov exponent method. So, by using Lyapunov exponent method, one can find whether the response is chaotic, periodic or fixed point. So, the Lyapunov exponent or characteristic exponent associated with a trajectory are a measure of average rate of expansion and contraction of the trajectory surrounding this. So, one can use this method by Wolf, Swift and Sweeney and Vastano determining Lyapunov exponent from a time series. So, this is published in Physica D in 1985 to obtain the Lyapunov exponent for the systems with experimentally obtained response. Also, one can study this paper. So, here it is observed by Haken that at least one Lyapunov exponent vanishes if the trajectory of an attractor does not contain a fixed point. So, if the attractor does not contain a fixed point, so at least one of the Lyapunov exponent vanishes. So, one can observe also that any system containing at least one positive Lyapunov exponent is defined to be chaotic. The magnitude of the exponent reflecting the time scale on which the system dynamics becomes unpredictable. So, one may note that any systems containing at least one positive Lyapunov exponent is defined to be chaotic. So, in case of chaotic response, at least one of the Lyapunov exponent will be positive. So, let us now know how to determine this Lyapunov exponent. So, the Lyapunov exponent, let us have a dynamical system which is defined by this equation x dot equal to f x m. So, for an autonomous systems it can be defined in this way. For an non autonomous system, so one can write the equation also in by using this autonomous by adding one more term, one more variable or one more equation. So, a nth order non autonomous systems can be written by n plus 1 autonomous systems, that thing we know before. So, let us have this equation x dot equal to f x m. So, in this case now the flow, so let the flow x t, so let we perturb this flow by using this y t. So, if we are perturbing this, so we should know how this perturbation will expand or contract, and depending on that we can find the Lyapunov exponent. So, we can write this by perturbing this equation. So, we can write this y dot equal to a y. So, this is similar to the stability analysis what we did in case of the fixed point response and in case of the periodic response. So, after finding this equation y dot equal to a y, where A is the Jacobian matrix. So, we can write this y dot equal to a y t, and so taking some initial condition y 0, its evolution can be expressed in this form y t equal to phi t into y 0. Here phi t is known as the fundamental matrix of solution, and in case of periodic system we know this phi t can be, or we can find this monodromy matrix using this phi t, and here the Lyapunov exponent is defined. After getting this y, we can define this Lyapunov exponent by using this expression, that is lambda I equal to limit t tends to infinity 1 by t ln y t by y 0. So, one can define this Lyapunov exponent by using this y t and y 0, but finding this y t by integrating this is sometimes difficult. So, for that purpose one can use this Gram-Schmidt procedure for orthogonalization vector. So, one can use this orthogonalization vector, that is y 1 is normalized to be 1, then y 2 can be written by using this expression. So, where this dot is the dot product. So, by using this expressions, so one can find this for the rth iteration. So, one can find this lambda I equal to 1 by r t, k equal to 1 to r ln n I k. So, where the expression for n I k one can find from this. So, this is n I k, this denominator part represent this n I k. So, for the kth iteration, this is for the mth iteration it is written. So, for kth iteration one can find this part, and one can obtain this Lyapunov exponent by using this formula. So, this following this Wolf paper one can find for the Henon equation. So, one can find this for this parameter value a b, this one can find this is 2 equations. So, one can get 2 Lyapunov exponent. So, one can see that one of the Lyapunov exponent is positive, that is 0.6, that is why the system is chaotic. Similarly, for the Rosler chaos, so this is the equation, one can find these 3 Lyapunov exponent, and here one can see that one of the Lyapunov exponent is 0 and one is positive. So, as one positive Lyapunov exponent is present, so the system is chaotic. Similarly, for Lorentz attractor one can see one of the Lyapunov exponent is 0, other is positive and third one is negative due to the presence of this positive Lyapunov exponent. So, the system is chaotic. So, if one has one dimensional map, so one can have one positive Lyapunov exponent and one 0 Lyapunov exponent. So, in case of positive Lyapunov exponent, so one can tell the response to be chaotic, and if the Lyapunov exponent is 0, so one can tell that it is marginally stable, and if it is negative, if the Lyapunov exponent is negative, then one can get a periodic response. So, and in case of 3 dimensional, so in case of 3 dimensional continuous systems, so one can have 3 Lyapunov exponent. So, either one will be positive. So, these are the options positive, 0 and negative. So, in this case one have a strange attractor. So, if it is 0, 0 and negative, so one can have 2 torus, and if it is 0, negative, negative, so one has a limit cycle, and if it is negative, all negative, then one can have fixed point. Similarly, in case of 4 dimensional, so one can tell the system to be chaotic if, so this is plus Lyapunov exponents are positive, positive, negative, or positive 0 0, or it may be 0 positive 0 negative. So, so these are the three options for getting chaotic response. So, in this, so if more than one Lyapunov exponents are positive, then it is known as hyper chaos. So, one can have this hyper chaos in case of more than one Lyapunov exponents are positive. So, today class we have studied different methods for finding the solution of ordinary differential equations. Also, we know how to characterize these responses by using Poincare section, power spectra, and also by using Lyapunov exponent. So, using these methods one can characterize the system response. Next class we will study about the frequency response of the system and the basin of attraction of the system. Thank you.